Good time zones, my Sakonauts. I'm Sako Tumi, also known as the Witch of Tylwyth Teg, and today we are reading about Hearth God and Goddesses in The House Witch by Aaron Murphy Hiscock. Okay. If we haven't met before, I'd like to welcome you to my channel. It is very nice to meet you. And if you have been here before, it is so lovely to see you back. Love you guys. I'm early on Tuesdays, yes indeed. It's good to see you, Jenny. I'd like to start this morning with a grounding ritual to start your day. This starts in your domain, so if you have not created a domain, you might want to sign up for my newsletter, which is linked below in the description. Sit with your hands in your lap and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it for a moment. And as you let it out completely through your mouth, let go of the tension from the night and the grogginess of the morning. Take another deep breath in. And as you breathe in, imagine you are breathing in pure love. As you breathe out, imagine you are breathing out forgiveness. Take a third deep breath in, and as you do so, imagine a light coming in at the top of your head. It enters at the top of your head and spreads down your face, neck, and shoulders. This cleansing light now expands along your back, down your legs, and out through your feet. It is as if cleansing light is a constant flow of soothing energy entering from your head and passing out through the arches of your feet. You are just outside the door of your domain. The air is crisp and cool. The evergreens sway slightly in the breeze, and the ground has a large patch of moss at your feet. Step barefoot onto the moss. Feel how soft it is. Feel the solid ground underneath. That light coming into your head can now be translated into energy that you can send out your feet. Convert the light into roots and send the roots out the bottoms of your feet and deep into the earth, as deep as you can. The soil is fresh, easy to toil, easy to carve a path down. Feel how anchored you are, how close to the earth. Reach as far down as you can. The earth hugs your roots comfortably, no matter how sharp or curly, no matter how many times they split off. Slowly pull the roots back up the way they came. Your roots slither through the dark, the soil filling in its wake. Pull the roots back into your feet, convert it back to the light, and let the light filter through you and out the top of your head. Take one more deep breath in and begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. When you are ready, open your eyes. Welcome. If you're just joining us, we just did our morning grounding ritual. If you are interested in more meditations like this one, but maybe a little more exploratory, you might want to look at subscribing to my Patreon, where I will be releasing 2 a month to help you on your supernatural and spiritual journey. Until then, you can join me for coffee in the mornings here on YouTube. Looks like we have a Jason. It looks like we have a Katarina. It's good to see you guys. Oh. More of the usual suspects. Hi, Debbie. So let's pull our card, our self-care card for the day. Good morning, Christina. It's lovely to see you, darling. Christina. Cliftina Fur. Okay, let's see what's up. The Ace of Cups reversed. We had a reverse card yesterday, too. Ace of Cups. Reversed. Raw emotions are spilling out, and you are finding it difficult to control your emotions. Intense highs and lows are rocking you off your center, and you are doing your best to stay afloat. Emotions are leaking into every area of your life, flooding them with repressed feelings and unwanted experiences. The pressure is mounting, and you're about to explode. Healing requires the dark, twisty feelings to bubble up to the surface in order for you to let them go. By facing your emotions and releasing them, you will be able to get through the barriers and create space for new possibilities. Holding on to the past is making you feel emotionally exhausted and is sucking up your energy. Reevaluate how your uncontrollable emotions are affecting your health and your loved ones. I do declare. Honestly, if you're not emotional after what happened on the 6th, on Wednesday, then you're not human. You are not a reasonable human being. I know I'm still reeling, and I know my DC friends are still reeling. In fact, they're mad. They're super mad. So, something to take into consideration today. Emotions out of control. And Past trauma is giving me intense anger over something that's happening today. I'm sorry to hear that, babe. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But this is a safe space, so if you do want to talk about it a little bit, you are more than welcome to do so. My gal. Such a cat. Sounds like my husband is awake. Well, a bit of a brighter side. Bailey has discovered she can lock the dog in her room and she thinks it's just hilarious. Oh no. Sending big hugs to everyone today. Everyone needs the hugs. Absolutely. All right. Yesterday we started talking about gods and goddesses of the hearth. I wanted to work on something today, but now I'm derailed. Yeah. I understand that very well. By lock, I mean latch the door. He's not really locked in there. Don't come for me, Peter. Yeah, I know what you mean. So yeah, we talked about Hestia and Vesta yesterday. Hestia, Vesta, Brigid. Also, hi Spence. Glad you could make it. I know it's a little early today. It's a little early. Bailey is a hoot and a half, yes. Toddlers are like little drunk people. Okay, so let's talk about some Asian gods and spirits. Okay, Cao Wang is the Chinese god of the hearth, also known as the kitchen god. An image of Cao Wang and sometimes his wife is kept in the kitchen, usually above or near the stove, symbolic of the god's presence. Incense is burned in his honor regularly, or other offerings are made. Cao Wang is said to keep watch over the family throughout the year, and his wife records the good things said by each family member. The week before Chinese New Year, Cao Wang is said to leave the hearth to report to heaven on the family's doings. Because a good report is desired, it is customary to offer sticky sweets to Cao Wang, as well as wine and money in order to make his journey comfortable. The report Cao Wang makes will determine if the family will be assigned good or bad luck for the coming year. Good motivation to get up when I want. She's a wildling. Hello, good Spence. China and Japan have several customs and traditions surrounding hearth and home, often revolving around honoring family ancestors and hearth spirits. As they can't all be included here, you could do your own research to explore how much these cultures respect the spirits associated with the sacred space of home and the various traditions ranging from feasts and specific foods to offerings and festivals. During the period when Sawang is gone, the image is turned to face the wall, or if it is paper, it is burned. Before Sawang returns, the house must be cleaned thoroughly to banish any ill luck or negative energy that is present. With every member of the family or resident of the house helping to ensure good fortune in the coming year. The house must not be cleaned in the days immediately following the new year, or the good luck may be lost. The image is then turned right away around again to symbolize his return, or a new image is brought in to replace the one that was burned. A special meal is then prepared to welcome him back to the hearth. Kamui Fuchi. Kamui Fuchi is a Japanese goddess of the hearth, originally from the Ainu people, which is way north. It's like Sapporo, like way north Japan. Marginalized group, indigenous marginalized group. I ended up doing a 2-hour deep dive on Bridget yesterday after the stream. I saw your spread. I'm super proud. Doing that witchy thing, or at least the pagan thing. Her name means rising fire sparks woman, and she is symbolized by the flame in the hearth. Legend has it she never leaves a particular home, and therefore the fire is never allowed to die. She is the major overseer of the household, but as she does not leave her place, there are other household spirits that report to her. She guards the home and also dispenses justice in domestic affairs. In Ainu tradition, the hearth is also the dwelling of the place of the ancestors, locating them in the heart of the household. The hearth fire was also seen as a doorway through which the family could communicate with the spirit world. Kamero no Kami. It says it's a Japanese god, but Kami means spirit. Kamero no Kami is the Japanese god of cooking fire, or stove, or oven. Like Sawang, Kamero no Kami exists in every home simultaneously. He too is a god of purification. However, as the fire itself is believed to be easily polluted, there are rites for purification of the fire, or oven itself as well. Shrines to him are maintained in many kitchens to both help with the daily fire and restrain its dangerous nature. Kamero is also the word for cooking pot in some regions of Japan, and so this deity can also be associated with cauldrons. Kamero no Kami is one of the set of fire deities, Hinokame or Hinokami, and his sphere of protection extends from the hearth fire to the whole household and the food prepared within it. Kami is the general term for spirit, and for this to be an official part of his name signifies how central Kamero no Kami is to the culture. Kujin-sama is the syncretic Shinto Buddhist deity of the kitchen and the cooking stove. His name is an analog of Kamero no Kami. Gabija. The Lithuanian goddess of the hearth fire, Gabija, also Gabita or Gabita, was perceived as a protector of the household. The hearth fire was believed to be a purifying energy that would defend the house from unclean people and creatures. Tradition dictated that the hearth fire be extinguished and ritually relit every midsummer. When a fire was laid, a cup of water or beer would be left as an offering to Kabija. When the fire was banked each night, the women of the household would pray to Kabija for good fortune and safety for the family. As in the cult of Hestia, a bride would take the embers from her family's hearth and use them to lay a fire in her new home. Some sources say that a pinch of salt would be tossed into the fire as an offering. Another form of this goddess, Gabjawa, was associated with grains and crops and brewing. Ertha. Oh, it says Germanic, so it's Erta. Yeah, she's one of the Norns. Okay. Domestic deity from Northern Europe, Erta is associated with earth and abundance, fate, peace, and domestic life. She is a Germanic version of Mother Earth. In some myths, she is the mother of the three Norns, the triplet sisters who control fate and destiny. The mother would have been the one who measured the thread of fate. In some myths, divination was often a hearthside activity, and fire is often used as a divination tool, so this association makes sense. Erta is said to have flown through the smoke of the kitchen fire to leave small presents for each member of the family at winter solstice, a practice very similar to the activity now assigned to Santa Claus and Father Christmas. Which is funny because the rest of the world calls her a witch, like the Christmas witch, but she's not a witch. She's a Norn. According to this book, anyway. Frigga. Now we're getting into the bigger stuff. One of the main female deities in Norse mythology, Frigga, also known as Frigg in some sources, is a domestic goddess in the true sense of the term. Wife to Odin, she is considered a goddess of marriage and love, fertility, motherhood, household management, and all domestic skills. Far from being subservient, she is powerful and shares Hlidskjalf, Odin's high seat that looks out over the world. She is the only other god permitted to sit in his throne-like chair. She possesses the power of prophecy, although she keeps this knowledge of the future to herself. These last two facts suggest how very powerful she is and how much information she possesses about the land and areas under her rule. With this knowledge, she can best arrange and perform her tasks, maintaining an environment that is calm, well-managed, and supportive for those in her care. Frigga has companions and attendants, all associated with domestic-related virtues and paths. Air is the goddess of healing, Hlin is a goddess of protection, Gna is a goddess of messages and communication, and Fulla is another fertility goddess. The symbols commonly associated with Frigga are the spinning wheel and the distaff, or the drop spindle. Mistletoe, a plant that possesses healing, fertility, and protective powers, is also associated with her. Bes. The dwarf Egyptian god of protection, Bes was often depicted on household items, associating him with the general protection of the household. He is a defensive fighter god, protecting the family both inside and outside the house, and he also drives away ill fortune. Okay, now I think we get into, it talks about Romans. Definitely talking about Romans. Ooh. And then we talk about Shinto. Okay. Household spirits. A household spirit is a guardian that defends the home or some specific part of it or the family members. These spirits are not formal deities or mythological figures. Rather, they are unique to the hearth and family. They may be related to the ancestors, or they may be spirits of place. Household spirits are honored within the home and are often represented by small figures or paintings or engravings on household items. Household spirits are generally acknowledged by the family and are given offerings of various food and or drinks, or are honored in other ways. In general, the cultural associations made with these spirits are of protection of the home, protection of family members, and prosperity. The Roman cult of the hearth and family is an excellent example of how household spirits functioned within daily life and the spiritual activity of the family. The lares familiares of ancient Rome were spirits associated with different places or activities. The lar familiaris, literally a family guardian, was a household god or spirit associated with an individual family home. Right, like a different spirit for every house, as opposed to a god who is omnipresent. A small shrine known as a lararium served as a home for the lares, appearing variously as a niche in a wall, a wall cupboard, or a freestanding cupboard. The lararium was placed near the hearth, the central focus of the home, or in an entryway, sometimes sharing or standing next to a shrine to Vesta. Small statues of the lares were placed in and around the home to protect it, sometimes on the roof or other high places. The lar was an essential part of family life in both day-to-day events and formal family functions. If individuals within the family honored the lar, then the spirit would protect each of them and ensure that they had good fortune. If an individual did not properly honor the spirit, then he or she would be ignored and denied the spirit's aid. The lares had their own festival called the Compitalia, celebrated around the 4th of January. The Compitalia is associated with the concept of crossroads, an interesting symbol when you consider how much power the lar held to help or hinder a family. Some records suggest that there were different lares for different zones of the house, such as doorways, the hearth, and so forth. The penitents, for example, were originally spirits of the pantry and storerooms, who, when properly honored, would ensure the family was prosperous and always had enough to eat. In Virgil's Aeneid, Aeneas pauses to take the small figures of the hearth gods with him as he flees. This action suggests that home is wherever the hearth gods are. Take the physical representation and focus for the spirits along with him symbolizes to Aeneas, transporting the entire ancestry and culture. He seeks a new home and founds a new city. When the lares were literally spirits of a place, remaining in the house when a family moved and protecting everyone within it, regardless of station or kinship, the mains were the actual spirits of the family ancestors and beloved dead. Demenes can be translated as the good ones or the kindly ones, which is profound because I didn't know about the kindly ones until I read the last book of the Sandman series. So it's good to know the origin of that term. These spirits protected the family itself, not the house or the household servants. Shinto, the native religion of Japan, has one of its tenets an honor for family and tradition. A Shinto home will usually have a small shrine or altar called the kamirama, a god shelf or a spirit shelf, placed high on a wall in a central living area of the home. This altar is often a small shelf or small house-like structure or facade set up to house ritual objects. Traditionally, the 5 offerings made at kamirama are rice, sake, water, salt, and the evergreen branches are incense. Right. Actually, that's Japanese shrine in general. Rice, which I don't do anymore because it's just a waste of rice because we don't eat it all day anymore. Incense, fruit, light, sake. So the sake is usually put in the shrine on the first of the year, and then it is left there to be blessed every day for a year. And when the year is up, on the first of the year again, you take out the bottle that's been there for a year, you put in a fresh bottle, and then you cook with it, you share it with your friends, you try to use the bottle in the day. There is a soup that you make out of this sake. I'm trying to remember the name of it off the top of my head. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's like probably one of my favorite soups. Probably my favorite soup in general. It's a mochi soup. Mochi is also eaten during the new year. So, and you can toast it, you can put it in a soup, you can make snacks or buy snacks that are mochi, which is easy enough to do, I guess. Okay, so so shinki are, and also plants, like shinki, right? So we use fake plants these days because lighting isn't always great, and you always want it to be green. So shinki and include white ceramic vases for evergreen branches, flasks with lids to hold and bless the sake, a small dish for rice, a flask with a lid for the water, a small dish for salt, and a low wooden platform or tray on which to display the shinki set, as well as miniature replicas of the lamps found in large formal shrines. I should give you guys a tour someday of the Butsudan. Before any offering is made, the individual must wash his or her hands as well. We also, when I was young, you're not supposed to breathe on the paper that is inside the shrine. So what we do is we take a piece of incense, we put it in our mouth, and you basically hold your breath while you mess with the shinki. Making sure the doors are open and positioning, like putting in the fruit, putting in the rice. We don't use salt. I'm not sure why. I don't know why that is. Okay, so while the Kamadana is not dedicated solely to the Kamadogami or the Shinto earth gods, Hearth gods, it is certainly one of the kinds of spirits honored there. Creating a small location such as this in which to focus your honoring of your own household spirits and ancestors is another way to explore the spirituality of the home and to honor it. In Chapter 3, there's more information about constructing a physical representation of the spiritual hearth, and Chapter 6 for more information on constructing a kitchen shrine. European cultures have also retained certain house spirits that have been encoded in folk tales but are still referred to in modern times and remembered in cultural tradition. These spirits are generally male, often hairy, human-shaped, but in smaller proportion of miniature nature, and are generally benevolent unless provoked by disrespect or open recognition. And these are often bought in like curio shops. I'm used to seeing these little dudes. If one of these household spirits is associated with your cultural ancestry, you may think about inviting one to take up residence in your home. Just make sure to treat it properly. Okay, so let's talk about brownies. They're usually in Scotland and England. A familiar household spirit, the brownie is generally described as a small brown human dressed in tattered clothes or in nothing at all. Sometimes there are minor physical differences from humans, such as webbed hands, missing fingers, or flat nose. Brownies are perhaps the most helpful domestic spirits one could possibly have, helping and supporting in every possible domestic activity. It is essential that a brownie receive no other sign of appreciation than a dish of rich milk or fresh bread or cake left out for him, or the brownie will leave forever. Spoken thanks and new clothes are especially forbidden. That's interesting. Criticism of any kind is also forbidden, for the brownie will take offense and create a complete mess while destroying household goods. Some brownies will also protect their households or use playful trickery to expose household members who are lazy and skimp out on their chores. The boggart, which is England North Country region. Boggarts can be either helpful or malevolent spirits. They do not tend to have physical forms, although stories exist wherein specific boggarts take physical forms to torment or mislead people. Boggarts are mischievous and like playing tricks, often exhibiting a poltergeist-like behavior. Brownies are very sensitive. They are. They have brownies in willow. Very cute little brownies. Benevolent boggarts are brownie-like in their behavior and will help out with domestic tasks. Like a brownie, however, it must be treated well or it can and will display destructive behavior. The Welsh Wicca is a form of brownie. The Hob in England. The Hob, which is in Labyrinth. Okay. The Hob functions much like a brownie, but instead of providing general help, he focuses on one specific task. The name refers to the flat part of the range or stovetop, or the flat place or shelf by a hearth where pans could be heated or kept warm. The same cautions regarding thanking and criticizing brownies apply to hobs. The hob can be attached to a specific house or a piece of land or to a family, following them if they move. The hob is also known as a hobgoblin, which is sometimes considered a nature spirit or is confused with a malicious goblin. The domovoi in Russia. The domovoi is a helpful household spirit much like the English brownie. They are described as little old men with gray beards who live under or near the hearth, or sometimes the threshold of the house. While dom means house and domovoi is linked to the family and will move with them when properly invited. Domovoi sometimes help with the chores, but their primary focus is on protecting the house and the residents. A portion of the evening meal is always set aside for him, and the family never refers to him by name, only by nicknames such as Old Grandfather. Like most household spirits, the domovoi must be kept happy, or the family risks ill fortune and suffering from poltergeist-like activity. And delicious. Brownies remind me so much of the borrowers, yeah, which I've been obsessed with for years. Show me the Rice Krispie treats, gods and goddesses, and I'm there, dude. Tomte in Sweden. The tomte or tomtar is a house spirit, again male, and ranging from a few inches to 2 feet tall, who is attached to a piece of land upon which a house has been built. The tomte's preferred food is porridge, often with a pat of butter on the top, served to him on Christmas morning. The presence of the tomte ensures a smoothly run and prosperous household, sometimes at the expense of neighbors who lose grain or supplies to the tomte as he works to keep the household under his guardianship successful. Rice Krispie treats have a tomte. Or it could be an egregore. The tomte is gifted with incredible strength, far beyond what one would imagine. In Finland, the spirit is a tontu. In images of the tomte as a small man with a white beard and a tall, pointed red hat, often seen around Christmas. Right, so the gnomes, what we call gnomes, and like David the gnome, he's a tomte. The Nisse in Denmark and Norway. A brownie-like household spirit who likes a quiet, orderly household. The Nisse or the Nis works on household chores at night. Like the tomte, he may stealthily acquire goods and supplies from neighbors to supplement his household stock of goods. The Nisse's preferred method of being thanked is to be left a bowl of porridge with a pat of butter. His special skill is speed. Like Swift. Kobold in Germany. They are made by tree elves. So, right? A kobold is a household spirit who can manifest as a human, animal, fire, or household object. Similar to brownies and other household spirits, they are most frequently described as humans between 2 and 4 feet tall. Kobolds live under the hearth or in a less trafficked area such as a woodshed or an attic. They finish what chores have been left undone when the family has gone to bed, keep pests away, and help the family maintain an abundance of food and good fortune. As is customary, the kobold and his efforts must be respected, or the family risks losing his services and suffering dreadful misfortune. Illness and hardship. Like the Romans did with their household spirits and gods, German peasants carved effigies and small figures of kobolds to protect their house, it says. There are other kinds of kobolds to German mythology as well, specifically those who dwell in mines and those who work aboard ships. Although not considered gods in a real sense, these are more mischievous household spirits. These more mischievous household spirits had to be kept content in order to avoid ill fortune or obstacles in daily life. In some cases, keeping a spirit content meant not acknowledging it, as in the case of the brownie. We got 15 minutes left. How long is this thing? Not long at all. All right. Offerings to household spirits. Offerings are a way of honoring your chosen principles, guardians, or concepts of the sacred. The term offering suggests that what you are giving to the entity you are honoring is in some way precious to you. Anything can be an offering. Every house will have different spirits, and they will all have different personalities, likes, and dislikes. Food is a simple offering that is commonly made throughout the world. In Japan, for example, a practice of scattering rice in the 4 corners and in the center of a particular site as an offering to a kami is called sanku. The basic food offerings such as sake, salt, and water are called shinsen. although an offering may be of any food, cooked or otherwise. Yeah. Also fruit. Vegetables, oddly, aren't included. It's all fruit. Many traditional offerings tie in the basic foods prepared at the hearth, especially bread or porridge. A simple way to honor your house spirits is to leave a portion of the meal you are serving to your own family for them, either on your kitchen shrine or in another place. The amount depends on what you can spare or what you think the spirit would appreciate. An excessive amount might suggest to the spirit that you have more than enough and do not need help. Too little may offend it. A spoonful may be enough. Leave the offering overnight and dispose of what is left the next morning. While it may not seem as if any has been consumed, the argument is often made that the spirits absorb the energy of an offering, and they certainly are aware of the action and appreciate the respect and acknowledgement thus demonstrated. So the next, we got chapter 6, the kitchen as a sacred space. So we will get into talking about kitchens specifically tomorrow. So yeah, wonder. I should do it with my phone. I was just thinking about taking a tour through the Butsudan. Since we have a little time, I think I'm going to do it. Okay. I'm going to bring you guys over. Yeah. All right. Let's look at a Butsudan, which is a shrine. So this is a Butsudan. It's got like a table in front of it. Here, maybe I can sit you down somewhere. Yep, okay, that works. So you see this, there's another extra cabinet in here where that will house the piece of paper that the Buddha wrote. We have water that we still do. We don't do rice anymore because it's a waste of rice. Every once in a while when I have fruit, I will put it in the Butsudan and have it blessed for a couple of days while it ripens. We use, this is what we use for the incense. Inside is ashes from the incense. You want to have enough ash to house it, basically. So that is where it's at right now, this instant. You should keep it dusted. I've been really bad about that. I have not been keeping it dusted. So everything, I don't know if I can show this. Everything in this Butsudan is like, it is Phoenix themed. There we go. Yeah, this is a particularly fancy shrine. It was, so actually we inherited this from a woman on Guam who died of cancer. She chanted for 3 years before she died. She chanted every day, all day. And so it's got a lot of good good karma around it. So that is a thing. So there are similarities to how the shrine is treated. Let's see here. Doot. Wong. Come on. Yeah, so thank you. It is a particularly fancy one. It is usually in the living space of a house, like in the hearth. Like sometimes they put it in a separate room, but that very rarely happens. It is usually part of the living room furniture. That thing is also heavy AF. Heavy AF. Oh, I should have shown you the lanterns. So the lanterns imitate those at temples. So basically, this is supposed to act at, like, this makes your house a temple, right? So and this is kind of a shrine to a piece of paper. The last Buddha, Nichiren Daishonin, wrote his findings. He was one of the few Buddhas who could actually write. So he wrote all his discoveries, and it's called the Gosho. And so I struggle a little bit with like some of my witchcraft regarding working with Shinto spirits, because Nichiren Daishonin practiced a sect of Buddhism that was technically illegal in Japan. The legal religion was Shinto. You were Shinto or you were put in jail or executed. And so they tried to execute Nichiren Daishonin, and he was completely disparaged. You know, he's basically like, well, this is fucking great. Buddhism has basically totally fucked me over. And essentially it's a public execution. They were going to kill him by hanging, and lightning struck the gallows, and they were basically hanging him from a tree, I think. So lightning struck it, broke it, and saved Nichiren's life. So the officials basically looked at it like, the gods and spirits and such want you to live. So we're gonna let you live. So that is kind of like the story that they tell people who think that Buddhism isn't working out for them. So that is what I grew up with. And I work with Benzaiten, who is a luck goddess. And apparently I'll work a little bit with Kamui no Fuchi. I'll probably work with him a little bit too. It makes me wonder, can I use the Buddha, I don't know, is it blasphemous to put Shinto gods in a butsudan? So that is what I struggle with, is that my family fought the law in order to practice Nichiren Buddhism. And so they rebelled against Shintoism. And I'm finding a lot of things useful about Shinto, rather. So that is, I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. Benzaiten has been helping me out since I was little, and I owe her a lot. I think that claiming religion as your own is more important than history or even blood history. Do what works and trust we don't see the picture in full. Well, so the trusting of the heart would be to honor my ancestors as opposed to, Shinto spirits and gods and such. All right, 2 minutes. If you liked this video at any point, please hit the like button. And if you would like to see what tomorrow when we talk about kitchens, please hit subscribe and maybe even ring that bell on the off chance that it might notify you when I go live. Also, if you want to support me in any way, linked in the description below is my Patreon, where I offer all kinds of groovy goodies. All my witchy stuff is offered as rewards for Patreon. And I will catch you guys. Oh, I see. I will catch you guys on the flip side. The flip side being the server, of course.